Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Andrew Jackson said these words, and boy, do we need to adhere to them today. The Bible is the rock on which a republic rests. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and we want to say thank you very much to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and service is the key word, along with some of our great advertisers, and they are Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them 734-6969. Boy, I don't know if it's the computer or what, but everything sounds different this morning, Gina. Is that, do you notice any changes?
Doesn't sound any different on my end, but it could sound slightly different on yours because of the new operating system.
Yeah, it's very tinny and very hollow, and I was just wondering about that.
Maybe I'll have Jerry kind of adjust the outputs, but I'm not going to touch anything until he gets.
Would you mind telling him that? I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing well, recovering from the weekend and everything. How about yourself?
Was it a weekend that needed recovering from?
Well, I've been sick since Friday.
Oh, no. Golly, your teeth, and then the dentist, and now being sick. Oh, my goodness, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's okay. I think, honestly, within the past 3 weeks, I think with all of the dental issues and being sick, I think I've lost about 15 pounds, and so I'm looking forward to about 10 cheeseburgers.
You didn't have 15 pounds to lose.
I know. I'm looking rather bony.
You're going to have your earlobes fall off.
Pretty much.
Holy cow, look out. I kidded you one day about being able to take a bath in a shotgun barrel. Better try a BB gun.
It's almost to that point. It's almost.
My goodness, look out, kid. Hey, do we have a pledger?
We have Mr. Al Butler on for the pledge and Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very good. All right, Al, go ahead with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I tell Gina, you keep it up and we're going to put rocks in your pocket to hold you on the ground. I win.
No kidding.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Al, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You betcha. How'd things go?
We had a wonderful weekend, and thank you. Lunch bunch, everything was great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Hey, it's time for the weather. And, of course, our weather being brought to everybody by our friends at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for their blue door. They've got great ideas for redecorating your house. And, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas right around the corner. Seriously, and if you want to do some redecorating and make some changes, they've got new decor items coming in every single day, and check out their repurposed furniture, all kinds of goodies for you at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley, 678-6945. And right now, here is Michael Rogers with the weather.
Good morning. After a whole week of not doing the weather, I find myself doing the weather. First thing I had to do was jump out of a refrigerator and hop into a frying pan. So I left Alaska, got back to Vegas on Monday, and I'm just now getting adjusted to 97, 98 degrees. Then I'm going to turn right back around and zip up to Idaho this weekend, and I'm going to get ready for thunderstorms. But that's this weekend. And your forecast for today, you've got showers in the forecast mainly throughout the day with isolated showers and a possible thunderstorm this evening. 75 for the high and 43 for the overnight low. Got a special advertising deal starting my photography. I'm going to share that with you here in about a week. But other than that, we're out of Alaska. We spent 6 months there. We're back down here in Vegas. And hopefully this weekend I'll be in the Magic Valley, which I have not seen in about a year. So enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. Tell me whether you got.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Good to have you back. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Wonderful people that have the do-it-yourself workshops. Call them. Find out about a workshop that you want to attend at 678-6945. Look for their blue door, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Caller, bear with me just about 30 seconds. I'll be right with you. Don't forget our friends also at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. The best cleaners anywhere, anytime. My goodness, they clean everything. Your clothes, your suits, ladies' dresses, all the tablecloths, your drapes, everything. Get ready for all the people coming in your house. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell. How are you doing this beautiful Monday morning?
I am great. Thank you very much for your call.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for the emceeing on Saturday. And I just wanted to take just a couple of seconds to thank, I'm not going to name them all because I can't, but we want to thank you for the wonderful job you did on the POWMIA program. Art Smith, Ken Mort, Dan Hendricks for the wonderful music. All the bikers, I can't say enough about these guys. They're just totally, totally awesome people.
Absolutely.
And thank everybody for coming out and supporting us, the vendors. An extra special thank you to Gina for doing all of the advertising for us and walking around the square even though she didn't feel good. We so much appreciate everybody that helped out.
Well, it was a very moving experience, and I'm going to be talking about it a little bit later on this morning. So, Donna, thank you, and we appreciate everything you and George do.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We couldn't do it by ourselves. It takes a whole community and a whole bunch of friends.
All right. Well, listen, I'll talk about it, as a matter of fact, in about 10 minutes.
All righty, dear. You have a great day.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Donna. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was quite an event this weekend, and the POWMIA ceremony on the Rupert City Square, and I do have some comments I want to make about that in just a few moments. Hey, don't forget SafeLink Wireless Internet. That's right, Idaho's #1 choice for wireless high-speed internet. SafeLink Internet services, fastest internet speeds, period. Order now. My goodness sakes, they are good. We've had them in our house, oh gosh, 5, 6, 7 years? 677-8000, the number to call, and they are truly the best. Fastest internet speed, SafeLink Internet, 677-8000. You call them today. Also, I want to remind you about our old buddy Scott Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 336 South, 450 West of Paul, 438-2485. Cold weather is going to be upon us. Today's the first day of fall, by the way. And if you want your trees properly pruned, call them. All the fruit trees, ornamental trees, shade trees, etc. And, oh, by the way, too, don't forget, Scott wants you to remember, if you have a sprinkler system, get those sprinkler systems blown out, and you don't want them to freeze, because that could really cause damage and havoc. You give them a call today, 438-2485. 438-2485, Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. The best. Okay. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A couple of quick notes Friday night, we were invited to go over to the, hold on, caller, I'll be right there, don't hang up, the Valley and Oakley game that was held over at Valley. First of all, I want to say the hospitality was absolutely fantastic. Second of all, I want to say that is a beautiful, beautiful field they've got over at Valley High School. And thirdly, I want to say these were two wonderful, great, talented teams. Valley and Oakley. And, the more the game went on, the more it became apparent that I really didn't want to see a loser. And I'll guarantee you it was a close game. Valley defeated Oakley 36-34. And the paper said something I agree. I don't agree with the Times News often, but it was a classic. It was an excellent football game. And congratulations to Valley. But, oh my goodness, these are two good teams that I think are well deserving of all the accolades they have within the state. Two really good football teams. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I was coming back from Marcy after delivering a load of cattle feed over there to a dairy, and off in the distance on the interstate, I saw some smoke. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is. And here goes all these fire trucks and stuff, and I get closer, and when I get up to where the smoke is, there's this white crew cab Ford pickup on fire, burning to the ground.
Oh, my.
And I'm like, oh, I hope it isn't Zeb.
Well, thank you. It wasn't. No.
Well, that was going to be a total loss, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he had the same problem that you had several months ago.
Well, the birds and their nests caused all my problems, and boy, I'll tell you what, I'm sorry for people that run into that kind of a problem and that kind of a headache, but certainly I hope that no one was injured in that fire.
Well, I hope so, too, because that pickup was going to burn plumb to the ground.
Oh, boy. Well, it wasn't me. I'm here, and my four-wheeled wonder's out in the yard, so everything's good, and I appreciate your call and your concern.
And I'm sure glad that, I'm sorry I couldn't go to the POW-MIA deal, because I am, an ex-dual veteran, but I had to work, unfortunately. Of course, that's okay. You're only making money. So, all righty, you have a good day, and I'm glad Michael's safe and sound back down from Alaska. What is he doing, running a Dalton up there?
I have no idea what Michael's going to be doing now down in Las Vegas, but I'll talk to him after the program, and we'll find out. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it.
You too. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day. Bye-bye.
Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget, hats off to farmers. This is in the middle right now of harvest season, and they know farmers are running, and they're going here, there, and everywhere as fast as they can go and get the job done. Well, if you need something, you call ahead at 678-0459 and tell them what you need, whether it's fuses, rubber cord, cord ends, whatever. They've got it. They'll have it waiting on the counter for you at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and they're open from 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, always serving you with warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. You stop in and see those good folks today as they salute and pay tribute to hats off to farmers. Absolutely. I want to just get into this for a few moments. And I said this at the end of the ceremony on Saturday. And I didn't have any notes on this. I just made it up as I looked at the crowd because it really hit me. The people that were there at the POW-MIA ceremony on Saturday, God bless each and every one of you, and thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be there and partake of the ceremonies and honoring our veterans, our POWs, and those missing in action. But this is something we should have had thousands standing in the city park. And every single school child should have been there, and every single teacher and school child should have listened to the stories on two veterans that risked their lives during World War II, and the stories that they told, George Faulkner and Russell Smith. Now, there is a bunch of psychobabble from child psychologists that say, oh, that's too harsh. That's too harsh for the children. They won't even let these kids today even know about, basically by watching the video of what happened on 911. I think it should be shown. I think it should be taught about. I think it should absolutely, in every graphic detail, be told to these students. But no, the psychobabbleists, they say, no, we can't do that. It's too harsh. These children today should know what it is and what it takes to be free. And they should know what we need to do to maintain our freedom and maintain our level of being an example and a shining light for the rest of the world. They should hear from a generation, and I mean this. The stories that I read about George Faulkner and Russell Smith were extremely hard for me to get through. I make no bones about it. I thought I could get through without having any emotion show, and that was not the case. But those stories about what they had gone through during World War II, this generation needs to know. These kids need to know. They should be aware, and so should their teachers. And hiding what happened during World War II, or World War II on to Korea, Korea on to Vietnam, etc. These kids need to know in the school systems what really is happening and not be protected from it. And I'm going to do all I can to try to see if there can't be some way that we can put this together and have classes or seminars or assemblies or something to make sure that the generation that risked so much during World War II is not forgotten. And I mean that. George Faulkner and Russell Smith, God bless you, and a very diminishing number of our World War II veterans, God bless you for your service. I really appreciate everything that you have done. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just can't understand how educators, and like I say, these psychobabbleists, can say, oh, well, we can't do that. We can't tell them. We can't show them. It's going to be much too hard on their psyche. There's a word, but I can't use it on the radio. Valley-wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida and Rupert. Winter gloves are in. Winter gloves keep your hands warm. And all the shop towels and rags are there. And, oh, boy, have they got a selection of Ariat boots for men and women. And, my goodness, they're also looking for a couple of people to go to work over there. That's right. They've got 2 part-time positions open for an evening cashier and an evening warehouse man. And you got to be at least 19 years of age. At Valley-wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida and Rupert. Really, really good folks, Mandy, and all the people over there saying, come on in, we've got what you're looking for at Valley-wide Home and Ranch. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I hate to bother you again, but I forgot to thank Lieutenant Governor Brad Little for making an appearance and doing a speech. That was really important to George and I, and it was very special, along with thank you for being such a good narrator. You know, George and Russell are very dear friends of ours, and when they pass on, their stories are gone forever because they're not teaching. There was 2 or 3 teachers from Oakley that I know were there. I don't know why we can't get this back in the school system.
Stop right there, Donna. And also another name that I happened to think of prior to or after your phone call was Tegan Nebeker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Bless her heart. You know, she just got married last July.
Yes.
And I believe they're living in Utah now. Her and her husband, what a sweet couple. Mm-hmm. And she does an awesome job. Thank you for reminding me.
But Donna, going back to what you said a minute ago about, what do you think about this? I think it's plain nuts for these psychobabblists to say that, oh, that's too hard on the children. Why, we can't show that. We can't tell them about that. We can't have their minds and the perception of their eyes and everything see the horrors of war. And I just the opposite. I think they should see it and understand it because that generation lived it, and once they're gone, so is the story.
Yeah, you're definitely right. You know, I think they need to see it not only for the history, and you know, talk to some of these heroes that lived through it.
Yes.
You know, what better way to learn about life? This is what this is what they fought for, the freedoms that we have today. You know, our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids, they're not going to know the freedoms that we had the pleasure of enjoying.
They were at the death camps. They toured the death camps. They liberated the death camps in Germany. They liberated the Jewish people that were dying. They liberated, and they looked and they saw exactly the horrendous movements of the Nazis and Hitler during World War II. And this is something that's got to be told and amplified so that it doesn't happen again.
I think you're totally right. You know,
I know I'm totally right.
Yeah, you are. Our little Adam watches the movies. We have the DVDs of World War II, Korea, World War I. He watches those as he goes to bed at night.
And by the way, to the Youth for Liberty presenting the flags and everything, God bless those kids. They do a wonderful job, and it's an installation of patriotism that I absolutely respect. I got to run and do a commercial break, but I'm telling you, I absolutely am going to do all I can to see that more of this is somehow pushed within the schools so that we never forget, we never overlook, we never fail to remember what these people like George Faulkner and Russell Smith did for our freedoms in this country.
You betcha. You know, we can't say enough.
All right. Thank you, Donna. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant. We were over there last week on Thursday for our Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Oh, my. I had the red, white, and blue pancakes breakfast. Oh, it was fantastic. Really great. Denny's Restaurant. Everything is always great. The menu is delicious, whether you're ordering breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And the service is absolutely the best. I mean, just bing, bing, bing. They're just running all over the room taking care of everybody. And don't forget, too, you can get a free Grand Slam, celebrate your birthday. All you have to do is go in and show them your ID, and there you're going to enjoy. They really care about people. They really care. So all you have to do is just stop in and say, howdy, you're ready to eat at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. And, of course, that's the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Absolutely great. We are going to have the Capital Press Ag Minute, and we'll be right back and take more of your phone calls. Give us a call, 436-2244.
The Capital Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration Friday released revisions to its proposed produce safety rule that it says are less burdensome and more flexible for farmers than the original. During a conference call with reporters, FDA officials said the revision included substantial changes to the agency's proposed water quality standards for produce. The produce rule is one of 7 the USDA has proposed to meet the requirements of the Food Safety Modernization Act. Passed by Congress in December of 2010, the FDA agreed to revise a previous draft regulation after producers complained it was not economically feasible. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brose.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at CapitalPress.com.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you very much, Capital Press. And don't forget Snyder's Surplus. It's not just army and hunting supplies. No. They've got everything. Something for everyone at 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. I mean, my goodness, they've got all your tools. They've got clothing. They've got tents. They've got bunk beds. They've got everything over there. My goodness, you've got to get into the brand new store. Check out the brand new merchandise with the great friendly service at Snyder's Surplus. Whoa, these are nice people. 112 South, 200 West of Rupert. They're waiting right now to serve you. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just really want to do something more to help not only with the POW-MIA ceremony, but also to draw more recognition and, I don't know, more education to what our past and our history is with our soldiers, men and women in the military, and to have people today. I know the Man on the Street interview. I remember one on Water's World, with O'Reilly not that many months ago, and they were asking questions about World War II and the horrendous horrors that took place, and a lot of these people were either unaware or they didn't believe what had happened. And I sat there and I wanted to yank off one of my boots and throw it right through the television set. The stories that these men went through, like Mr. George Faulkner and Mr. Russell Smith, the horrendous horrors of war, need to be recognized, realized, and never forgotten, so that something that atrocious never happens again, ever. God bless them. God bless them. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You remember, here in the last couple of months, there has been a big push, and even the Democrats like Harry Reid and others have got involved, which is so insane and pathetic, I think, to try to force Daniel Snyder, the owner of the Washington Redskins, into changing the name. Well, it became very apparent to me this weekend that political correctness is all around the sports world, and many broadcasters found themselves slipping up and tripping over their verbiage on numerous occasions. Many have been told by various networks to back off on using the logo name the Redskins. Many have been told that they can go ahead and say it at their own discretion, and I really respect and admire Mike Ditka with ESPN. He said, I'll say it whether I want to or not. He says, that's the way it's been for almost 80 years, and he said, I'm sick of political correctness. God bless him. I agree with him. But what was interesting about this situation with the Redskins, they have done nothing ever to diminish pride in the name and pride in the logo. And it has been a very pride-filled situation in honoring the American Indian through that football team. It really has. But what brings this to light this morning is that on Saturday night, I was watching the game with the Florida State Seminoles. And at the opening ceremony, the tom-tom music with the Indians in the background, you know, their school song. And then they have a depiction of Chief Osceola from the Seminole Indian tribe riding an Appaloosa horse into the stadium and coming out with a burning lance. And he runs to the center of the field and sticks the lance into the caricature of the Seminole Indians at midfield, and then wheels his Appaloosa horse, and out the arena they go. That's okay, because the Seminole Indian tribe is making buku dollars off of that. And politicians with big mouths and small brains like Harry Reid, they're not going to say anything about Florida State University. But they're going to go after a team in the pros like the Washington Redskins, who are showing as much or more respect for the American Indian as are the Seminoles of Florida State in the collegiate ranks. But they're going to go after them and say that they are not politically correct. Now, would somebody out there in Radioland tell me why? Why? What's the difference? You don't suppose it's that 5-letter word, money, do you? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, my goodness, remember last week on Thursday? We had Nick on the air with us from Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness sakes, I'll guarantee you. Hold on, caller, I'm a-coming. They've got all the man lifts, you better believe it, from Nifty Lifts, and they've got all the big Doosan loaders, and they've got all the Coyote tractors. Holy smokes, Nick gave us a litany of everything they've got at that Burley location at 159 West Highway 30, Berry Equipment and Rental, and also at Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls and South Lincoln in Jerome. So all you have to do is just stop into any one of those 3 locations and you'll find exactly what you want to buy or rent at Berry Equipment and Rental. The best folks, the best equipment at Berry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
All I've got to say to Mr. Harry Reid is go back to Nevada, crawl underneath your rock you come from, and shut the hell up.
Okay, now you listened to my analogy about the Florida State Seminoles and then also the Washington Redskins. Do you agree with me or not?
Yes, because that Washington Redskins has been here since 1933. They're the same age as me.
Yeah.
And by hell, leave them alone.
But what is the difference in why the politicians like Harry Reid and some of the other so-called do-gooders are just absolutely ready to nail the nails into the wrist of Daniel Snyder and others demanding name changes when, in essence, look at the what's happening at Florida State with the depiction of Chief Osceola riding out there with the burning lance, etc. I'm telling you, it's just hypocrisy.
I know it, because they're all trying to make a big name for themselves, and all they're doing is shoot themselves in the foot. But leave the Redskins and that alone, and for hell's sakes, get back to work at the State House like you're supposed to do. Do your job and get us out of the big mess we're in over there overseas.
Amen, Al.
It's ridiculous.
Amen, Al. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless you, man.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. You know, I worked with the BLM on China Mountain issue here a couple of years ago, and I talked to the head guy that was in charge of the whole project and was writing it and everything, and I said, and on China Mountain area that's now by Salmon Dam, there is a lot of Indian artifacts on the ground and around that area, and burial grounds and everything. And I said, how are you going to get around the Indians and get them to buy into this project? And you cannot believe what came out of his mouth. He said, money. He said, we will not have any trouble with the Native Americans. And before it was over, he told me they had the Native Americans buy into it, and he never would tell me how much, but it was money, and they know that it doesn't matter what they do, they can get the Indians to buy into it with money.
You know as well as I do, Jack, with the case like at Florida State University and the Seminole Indian tribe as basically their mascot of that university, and the money that is derived from the trinkets and the sale of T-shirts, sweatshirts, caps, everything to the Seminole Indian tribe getting a large percentage, you can bank on this. They will never change the name or the logo.
I know it, and you know, you probably will get those people thrown out of there if they even try. But there'll be people that'll say let's try it, let's go after them, but they'll be thrown out of the state.
Isn't it hypocritical and downright stupid and frivolous to think that certain politically correct businesses, they won't even sell a jersey for the Washington Redskins, they won't sell a baseball cap for the Washington Redskins, they won't sell any jewelry or anything for the Washington Redskins. They want to be politically correct. And at the same time, the Seminole Indian tribe is just rolling with money right now, with 75 to 80,000 people per game at a home game buying all the trinkets and all the clothing. That's okay for one, but it's not for the other.
Well, I agree. It's ridiculous, the things that are going on.
All right. Thank you for your call, my friend. God bless you. Thank you so much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, Zeb, if they want to be politically correct, they're way off base, for one, because isn't the Appaloosa the Idaho horse belonging to the Nez Perce tribe?
Well, a breed of a horse, yes, originated and was basically the state horse of Idaho, and Chief Joseph and the others were said to have furthered the breed, etc. But all I'm saying is that the depiction of Chief Osceola riding out on an Appaloosa with a burning war lance, how come it's different for the Washington Redskins to honor the American Indian, but they get condemned, but if they do it down in Tallahassee, at Florida State University, it's okay?
Well, the only thing that me and my buddies come up with is that the Seminoles are getting their big chunk of change off of it.
You bet.
The Redskins is more of a wide open variety of all the Red Man Indians.
But I'm just going to come right out and say, and some people are going to be offended by this. Caller, you might be offended. I am not going to call them Native Americans. Were you born here in this country?
Yeah, I was.
All right, what are you?
Well, my grandfather escaped during the trouble in Hungary.
No. Answer my question. If you were born here in this country, what are you?
Oh, well, then I'm a Native American as well.
Bingo! So why should we refer to them as Native Americans? I'm going to call them American Indians, and if that's not acceptable, that's just too darn bad, because they're no more Native American than I am.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
All right, sir. God bless you for your call. Always good to hear from you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Calls welcome, 436-224-1866-927-4587. The point I'm getting at with the Washington Redskins, and I don't want anybody out there saying, you're wasting all your time talking football. Well, wait a minute, I'm not. I'm really talking about the idiocy and incompetency of political correctness. You can condemn and damn the Washington Redskins, and they have never, ever once done anything demeaning. It's a source of pride. It's a source of absolute first class in that organization. And they've always honored the name. But on the other hand, so are the students and the faculty of Florida State University. But my point is, why condemn one and have Harry Reid and others in politics jump in with their size 12s stuck in their mouth, condemn one, but it's okay for the other? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. It's a wonderful thing that the Redskins have the Redskin name. The part I'm opposed to is the Washington part of it, because of the way our president, our vice president, our Senate, and our House and the Supreme Court are treating this nation. They're just robbing us blind. And I think they ought to take the Washington off the name and leave it the Redskins, because that's a very, very honorable thing. They were great people. They did great things.
All right. Jerry, I respect that. I like that. I think anything connected with Washington right now, boy, you got to be really careful. God bless you for your thoughts. I got to do a weather forecast. Thanks, Jerry. That was well said.
You have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
He already has. Thank you. I'm going to do the weather real quick, and then we'll take some more of your calls. I just think this hypocrisy of trying to be politically correct is just so absolutely frivolously stupid. The weather forecast this hour is brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert, and I didn't get a chance Saturday, and I really wanted to run over and see her quickly. She's got a full line of promotional items for your business, whether it's caps. I got to talk to her about my caps and sweatshirts, T-shirts, and buck knives. Oh, the buck knives. Great, great knives. And if you buy one, you can get free engraving on it. Just mention my name. Oh, my goodness sake, stop over and see her today. She can do anything. Beautiful job on everything she does. Nicole Pratt at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. And now here is the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers with Zeb at the Ranch. You got some showers today. That's going to turn into isolated showers with a possible chance of a thunderstorm tonight. 75 for the high, 43 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather, gentlemen. What do you got?
Thank you. Whoa, Michael, short and sweet. Thank you very much. Brought to you by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. And you stop over and see them today. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, while I'm waiting for your call to come on in, don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox. Also, right over there, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Oh, my. Breakfast, lunch, or supper, open Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. What a bakery. Oh, my goodness, what a bakery. Wedding cakes, cookie bars, homemade bread, delicious cinnamon rolls. Knock your socks off great. Absolutely. At Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. You get a hold of her today. You know, I'm going to be talking to Frosty Woolridge at 9:06 this morning, and I don't understand what's going on with our border and our border patrol and our absolutely insane edicts that are coming out of this administration and the White House. A gentleman that is a Border Patrol agent was on the news this morning at 4:15 this morning. And he just looked at the camera and he shook his head, and he doesn't know what to do. He honestly doesn't know what to do. He said now the feds are cutting way back. I want to say that again. Now the feds are cutting way back on illegal alien prosecutions. In other words, his biggest concern was this morning, our people that are working for the Border Patrol are risking their life and limb to try to do a job of protecting us, the United States, and our borders. But they're now being told, even more so today than ever before, that if you catch an illegal citizen of Mexico or wherever, not a resident or citizen of the United States, you must take them in and give them a notice. Listen to this. This will absolutely blow your mind. Give them a notice that they are supposed to come back and see the judge in the future, and they'll decide about what to do with them. What? So here's an illegal alien, and he's caught by the Border Patrol. And the Border Patrol says, you know what, we can't do anything with you today, but here, take this notice and appear before Judge so-and-so at this district court or whatever in 90 days. You think they're going to show up? This is absolute insanity. And that's what our Border Patrol is doing right now. They're changing diapers. They're going out and getting milkshakes for illegals. And they're told to turn them loose. What happened to our sovereign country, the United States of America? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, I got a sister-in-law that works in health and welfare, and she said now that they've got it to where they're giving food stamps and such to the illegals.
Oh my, yeah. I had a story on that about 2 weeks ago. And Fred, let me ask you something. You've been on this God's great earth for quite some time. Why is it that we, the American public, are not outraged to the point of picking up pitchforks and baseball bats and demanding from our government that they close our borders? We can't go into any other country like they're infiltrating ours.
Well, I'll tell you, I, for one, have been, but it takes, I don't know what it takes. It takes a bunch of people. There's so many people that are ignorant to what is going on in this country, Zeb. That is the problem. They live from day to day. They don't give a damn. As long as they've got their handout, and the government's putting food and money into it. Yeah. That's all they give a damn about.
I agree. But, you know, I just don't understand. There's two words that come to play here. Caller, I'll be with you in a minute. Stand by. But common sense. Common sense says that we have laws. Common sense says that we have borders. Common sense says we have a constitution. Common sense says that we need to protect our country with security for our citizens that are taxpayers. That's common sense, and there isn't any common sense anymore.
Well, our president and our Congress, they don't live by that common sense rule.
I agree with you, my friend, but I'm frustrated, and when I hear stories about the Border Patrol being told to just basically give them a ticket and tell them to show up 90 days later to see somebody, that's as dumb as I've ever heard.
I am too. It burns me up, but what do you do?
I know.
I'm one voice.
I know.
They don't listen.
Fred, God bless you, my dear friend. Take care. Thank you so much.
You do the same.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, you're exactly right. In some cases, these illegals that have come across the border were told to come back in 2020. 2020. And you're saying, what? This is exactly true. And so it's just amazing. And then if you want to talk about what Fred just got to saying about how they're getting food stamps, these people are playing the system so well that they make you and I look like idiots. You know, the caseworkers are waiting for them to come across the border so they can engage them in the system. The caseworkers.
Why?
It's so foul. It's just unbelievable.
Randy, why? I mean, really, why? I want everybody listening to this program, I don't care if they're listening in Florida right now, Texas, or even right here in the Valley. Why are we, the people of the United States of America, allowing our borders to be open and porous and dangerous, and we don't know who the bad guys are? Why are we allowing this? Where are the senators? Where are the congressmen? Where is this administration? Why are we not demanding, like with the pitchforks and baseball bats or anything else, get the borders closed?
Well, this is what I mean about Jason Chaffetz from Utah, who is involved on the TV all the time. And Mike Simpson, that toad, he's somewhere, but he ain't helping us. And if he could do something like, you know, even if he was to try to cut the funding to the EPA, but Mike's too busy living the life in Washington, D.C. So I don't know, Zeb. I don't know. Until we storm the castle, the peasants are going to have to storm the castle. But you know how that is. That's a hell of a lot more easier said than done.
I just don't understand why the people of this country, the greatest country in the world, ever in the history of the world, are sitting back and letting our country be overrun by people that don't belong here. Yes, they are illegal aliens. Yes, they have found terrorists. Look at what happened in Texas. There were 4 guys that walked across the border and they found out that they're with ISIS. I mean, come on, Randy, this is idiocy.
That's right, and this is exactly the thing. You know, we elect these people to do their job, and all they do is fight amongst themselves. Even the Republicans are fighting against the Tea Party, and you say, oh my, God help us, God help us. But you see, until we force their hand, until enough of us do something. That's all you can do is continue to hope that people will wake up. But we're just so distracted. We're punching buttons on our smartphones and our iPads. And I don't know, Zeb. We know everything but what matters.
Yep, I agree, Randy. Always good to hear from you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, I just honestly, I don't understand why and how we can ignore this problem. We don't know who's coming across their border, our border. We don't know what they want to do. And if they're terrorists, they're gone into the night, into the desert, into another town, and forming cells of danger for us. We don't know who's coming across. I've never seen anything so insane in my life. With an open, porous border system like our government and our senators and congressmen are allowing. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All the tires are on sale right now. That's right. They've got the TerraMax HT on sale, the Wildcat AT2 on sale, the Open Country AT2 on sale, the Ultra Z900 on sale. Tires galore on sale for you right now, along with many of the custom wheels on sale. Oh, you know they've got the best brake value promise in the industry. Professionally trained technicians to make sure your brakes are going to whoa when you say whoa. You better believe it. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, the best in batteries, all of this and much, much more, along with the best in service. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got 1 minute. Go.
Yeah. You there?
Yeah, I am. I'm waiting for you. Hurry.
I heard you talking this morning about kids, and I think that the judges and the lawyers ought to go into the schools and teach the kids that they have statutes, ordinances, and codes and no Constitution, and have them explain to them how it all works.
I can't argue that at all. I think our kids need a complete revamping of the education system for what is valuable, what is not. They can talk about Common Core, but I'll tell you one thing. I want our kids to know our values. I want our kids to know our Constitution, and I want our kids to know what blood, sweat, and tears went into this country. And I will stand for that anytime.
Good, thank you.
God bless you. Thank you very much. And I am going to keep fighting for that. You know, they can come up with all this new math, you know, the fuzzy math. Well, that's the right answer, Johnny, but you didn't go around the tree 37 times to figure out that answer. What a waste of time when they could be, in essence, I think, get the right answer, but then also let's learn about our Constitution. Let's learn about the value systems of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. Let's learn about what happened in World War II with George Faulkner and Russell Smith. Let's tell these kids so that that doesn't happen again. I'll be back in 6 minutes. Oh, boy. Yuck, yuck, yuck. What we've got for messes around the country. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell, and welcome back to hour number 2 on a Monday, brought to you by Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, our major sponsors. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor. Thank you so much, all 7 locations. And then also, let's not forget some of our great advertisers, as my earplugs just fell out. We want to say thanks to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and its great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, I'll tell you what, we are so blessed to have Western Waste Services pick up our garbage every Thursday, almost like clockwork, with their great big trucks coming up here, brum, 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 dump the garbage, and away they go. You better believe it, no more garbage. They are always at our disposal. And don't forget, too, they've got the dumpsters in various sizes in case you're cleaning out the basement or the garage or whatever. By golly, get a hold of them. 734-6969, the number to call, Western Waste Services. Services, serving you. You get a hold of them today. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary. And by the way, I want to say personally a thank you to Joel Heward for giving the invocation the other day at the POW MIA ceremony in Rupert. Thank you, Joel. Very nicely done. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. Absolutely always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity of working with you and your family. And when there's the passing of a loved one, everybody is just absolutely, they just don't know where to go. They don't know where to turn. Please, Hanson Mortuary can and will help and take care of everything. Number to call, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, serving you and your family in Rupert. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and one of my dearest friends is on the other end. He just finished a great big tour of the left coast of the United States of America, and believe me, as well educated and as great a writer as he is regarding illegal aliens and people skipping across our borders, he learned a lot, he told me, about what's going on or not going on. Good morning, Frosty Woolridge. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Always a pleasure, sir. And we need to get right down to it this morning because I think it's extremely important. And I have started writing commentaries once again, full speed. And for those of you who would like to see my first commentary of the autumn, newswithviews.com. And that article, you can see my face at the top right-hand corner. Just click on my face at newswithviews.com, and you will be guided immediately to prepare for a different America coming fast. It stems from this journey down the West Coast, and I want to read a few notes to you as we get into this interview because most Americans don't have a clue as to how fast their country is changing. They keep thinking it's just happening to Norway and Sweden and Belgium and Holland and France and Germany and so forth. But let me tell you, it's happening to our country just as quickly, and simply we must either do something or become, again, as I've said, victims of our own self-inflicted destiny.
You know, Frosty, one of the things I was going to ask you last week, and I'm so glad that you mentioned this morning, and we're going to go into that, of all the things that you observed, of all the people that you talked to, of all the occurrences and happenstances that you went through, what is the number one thing that basically slapped you in the face as far as illegal immigration coming into this country on this trip? What was the number one thing that you became aware of?
Loss of our language. From San Francisco on down, there is just an extraordinary influx of people from India, an extraordinary influx of people from China. They're chain migrating at an extraordinary rate, and they're doing that legally. And then the extraordinary illegal alien population growing in Los Angeles to the point I re-looked at my notes, and I did stop in 2 motels coming through the southern part of California, and 6, I told you 7, but it's 6 Spanish-speaking TV shows, TV channels, entire TV channels that completely are Spanish and Spanish-speaking, and they address the humongously growing crowd of millions and millions and millions of Mexicans, Central and South Americans who speak only Spanish, that will not and care not to speak English, do not want to incorporate themselves into our country. And so we have 6 Spanish-speaking stations in San Diego and in Los Angeles, and several of them filtered up right into San Francisco. So this thing is coming in very, very fast. And as you all know, if you've read anything about the Tower of Babel, or you've watched linguistic chaos in other countries, people who speak a different language have a different worldview. In other words, Arabic, those people have a worldview of Sharia law, where women's rights don't exist, where right to choose for a marriage partner doesn't exist, where the right to, our laws of only one marriage of one woman and one man are completely usurped because different languages such as that take, multiple wives. You have honor killings. You have female genital mutilation. That's a worldview by obviously the Muslim immigrant crowd in America, and it's growing. It's growing hugely. It's fast also. Over 2,000 mosques in this country right now. I think it's 2,200 mosques in just the last 20 years. And so for me, I couldn't ask anybody for directions. And let me tell you, I was getting lost like crazy as I tried to maneuver through Southern California. That loss of language means a loss of our country's ethos. It means loss of our country's commonality as citizens. And, of course, it means we're having scattered worldviews and scattered and incompatible cultures. And they are literally manifesting right there in California right now from San Francisco south. So that would be the most frightening part of what I saw.
Okay, but wait a minute. Why did we allow this to happen? How did we allow this to happen? And there must be outrage and there must be animosity within these regions, within these communities, to see that the English language is absolutely not even present in some cases. Aren't people outraged over this?
As a matter of fact, I didn't see any kind of outrage whatsoever. Some of the people that I did talk to, as I pedaled south out of San Francisco, said, there's just about nothing we can do about it. Nobody will stop it. And and our schools are being, what happens is all the European American citizens, AKA white America, just simply flee the areas that are becoming overrun by a Mexican, contingent, a Latino contingent, or Chinese contingent, or Korean contingent, and simply go to either private schools or they go to cities that are still left that have more European Americans, and that the ghettos or the Mexican boroughs are flourishing in their poverty, flourishing in the lack of education and the inability to even teach these kids in Spanish, because as you all know, in Mexico, culturally, there's no care or need or thrust for education. The average Mexican has about a 5th to 6th grade education, and then they simply leave school. Well, they do the same thing here, and there's so many of them, there's no way that truancy officers can keep up. And so you have, literally millions on welfare, and California is literally a welfare state that houses all of these Mexicans, food stamps, free breakfasts and lunches for the children in school, ESL classes, of course, English as a second language, which means it does nothing whatsoever because these kids just simply go back to speaking Spanish. And since there's so many millions of them right now, there's no way for them or need for them to speak English and therefore not incorporate into America. And that's why I wrote this piece, and I want each of you who is listening, again, prepare for a different America. In other words, prepare for a different kind of America, because from what I can tell, we are simply moving in that direction with nothing stopping the impetus for changing America. And literally, it's a fact that the Latino, Hispanic ethnic group will become the new majority in America in 28 years by the year 2042. And that's been shown by quite a few studies right now, which I can cite if you'd like me to.
No, I tell you what, I'm just sitting here stunned. I really am sitting here stunned after your story this morning about our language going to its demise. And then I hear about the Border Patrol, a story this morning. I watched a Border Patrol agent on television this morning at 4:15 a.m. saying that the feds are changing the rules and they're cutting way back on illegal alien prosecution, and they're being released into our society with nothing more than a piece of paper that says, please come back and talk to the judge in that district court in 3 months. I mean, Frosty, I'm just absolutely stunned.
Well, don't be stunned because that's exactly what's happening. As a matter of fact, this was just published in the September 18th, 2014 Australia, and in the article, I wrote about it. I also have a YouTube where more than 20 Muslim jihadists in Sydney, Australia, were planning to behead passers-by just because Australia is not an Islamic state. And fortunately, they had 800 police officers descend on all of these terrors in over 12 suburbs of Australia there in Sydney to stop this beheading plan. And the same thing's happening, of course, with the riots in Sweden from Muslims. And it's been said that once Muslims get around 8%, they start rioting, they start their violence, and they start pushing for their dominance and their Sharia law. And ladies and gentlemen, we have about 7.5 million Muslims in America right now. What happens when they get to 20 or 30 million of them by 2050, which is the projection for that, and I write about it. Can we withstand this kind of internal jihad, if you will, and will we survive Sharia law in our country? In fact, Tom Tancredo was on the news this morning about the head lice that's coming into this country and the tuberculosis that's coming into this country from all of these untouched, unchecked illegal aliens. The fact that the MDR, which is a multi-drug resistant tuberculosis, Chagas, of course, which kills about 50,000 a year down in South America, and it affects around almost 16 to 20 million people. It's a parasite, is now coming across the border unchecked, and it's in this country. And so you better be stunned, and I hope everyone reads this piece, because America is changing, and it's going to become a different America. And while you may sit there and think Norman Rockwell's America, has tremendous nostalgia, and then Father Knows Best, and Andy of Mayberry, and Jackie Gleason, and certainly even the Bill Cosby Show, were once part of what America was all about. We were a cohesive single-language nation. We certainly had our troubles, whether it was, racial strife or women's rights or Roe versus Wade. But what we're coming into here is a completely different demographic and a completely different majority. The majority that once was is now virtually on the tipping point of we went from 90% European American in 1960, now down to 54%, and by 2042 will be 49%. So you're going to see a completely different change of ethnic dominance from European American to Hispanic, Latino American, from south of the border, onslaught, into our country. And that's what's coming. And it's going to come into every single community in this country. There's nothing stopping it. And it's going to be quite, not only do I talk about the fact that it's going to change our ethnic balances and so forth, it's going to change, it's going to add 100 million of these people from all 150 different countries with all these incompatible cultures and languages and certainly religions. And yet the American people in Southern California, they're all surfing, they're all goofing around, they're all partying on the beach, and nobody is even talking about it.
Well, see, that's what I was going to ask you about, is we're looking at a division of the ages. You and I are in the same age generation, and then you look at the next generation below us that are maybe the 40 to 45-year-old moms and dads, and then below that the 25 and the 35-year-olds that haven't got a clue what's going on in politics at all. Certainly there has to be somebody left that cares about this country. We can't keep having this breeding of chaos and anarchy, or this country's going to fall apart at the seams like a cheap suit.
Well, and that's, if you look at the results. Look at Ferguson, Missouri.
Yeah.
They were all crying because there were 53 white officers and only 1 or 2 black officers. Well, the real tragedy, and then you heard about there's not enough generals that are African American generals or African American colonels or light colonels or majors in the Army, and they're all worried about that. Well, the problem for that is that there's not enough. There's simply not enough qualified, intelligently, educated African Americans to fulfill a general. You got to be pretty smart to be a general. You got to be pretty smart to be a colonel. You got to really be smart to be an officer in the military, because you got to command systems, and you got to command divisions and battalions and warships and all that goes with that. And unfortunately, they can't find any qualified African Americans to suit up in the thin blue line there in Ferguson. That's the reason there was such a preponderance of white officers. Look at Chicago, 50 shootings, 50 gunplay fights over the 4th of July weekend in 3 days. You obviously, something's going wrong in Chicago, and of course, as you know, Chicago houses more than 2 million illegal aliens. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear that? We have somewhere between 15 and 20 million illegal aliens in this country, but they're housed in this incredible number, 2 million. That's the estimates. Go to fairus, FAIRUS.org, and that'll give you the numbers. Go to CAPSWeb, CAPSWEB.org, or numbersusa.org, and you'll get those numbers. But so what I see is illiteracy. Again, half the kids coming out of these warehouse schools in California are completely illiterate. They can't even read a bus schedule. And so what happens when you have illiteracy become the mainstay of any civilization? And just look to Congo, or look to Haiti, or look to Los Angeles, or look to Chicago, or look to Detroit, Michigan, with a 76% dropout flunk-out rate from the area high schools there. What happens? The women get pregnant, and then go on welfare, and they get food stamps and EBT cards, and then they get Section 8 housing, and the boys just turn into thugs or gang leaders and or gang followers, and then they simply go into violence and drugs and so forth. So what I'm saying is, we all better start preparing for a different kind of America that is now literally flooding into America right now. And again, 100,000 legal immigrants every 30 days from 150 countries around the world are coming into this country, and I saw it in Southern California, and I've seen it in Chicago, and I've seen it in Miami. I mean, I'll read, if you want, I'll read a story by a person here. Mr. Wooldridge, Different America Coming Fast. I am a Miami native. I turn 55 next week. Miami as a child, as I was a child, was about 250,000 in the early 60s. Blacks, whites, and a few Cubans. By 1980, we had 1/6 the population of Haiti, 1/6 the population of Jamaica, another million Cubans, refugees from Central American wars and hurricanes. No help whatsoever from the federal government with schools and infrastructure. And he says, thank God for the 80 drug industry. I don't know quite what that meant. He said it carried Miami. These people all speak different languages, have vastly different values and behavior. We have had riots, corruption of local governments, and white flight, including myself. Driving in Miami is rolling the dice. Crashes, robbery, gridlock, carjackings, and auto theft. I pack heat all the time. Welcome to Miami. Miami is but a clear vision of the future for the United States. I just hope there will be a region for Americans, and we can take care of the military, or we can take the military with us. From Palm Springs to Key West, there are 13 million people. Totally unsustainable. All the farmland is gone. We grow very little and depend upon imports from California, now under severe drought. I live west of Fort Lauderdale in a ranch community. Even here, it was 100% white 15 years ago, and now 55% Spanish. I have 10 years or so to retirement. I'm looking for a safe place to retire. Any ideas? You do great work. Please keep it up. John Eastman, Southwest Ranches, Florida.
You know, Frosty, one of the things, and I'm almost out of time, I've only got 2 minutes left, but one of the things I think you'll agree with me is we can get on this program and we can talk about this, and there are those in the audience that will condemn us for our verbiage and our concerns, but yet they'll let the problem exacerbate until, like I said a moment ago, we have complete chaos and we have complete anarchy. I don't understand this country anymore.
Well, again, we're watching it happen. And you may be real safe right now there in Boise, Idaho. You might be safe somewhat in Spokane, Washington. You may be safe somewhere up in Kalispell, Montana. But as the Titanic goes, so goes everyone at every level who rides the Titanic. And this is the United States. And again, as I wrote in my book, America on the Brink, the next added 100 million Americans, I said that California is the bow of the U.S. Titanic. And so no matter who you are, what you are, we are all going to be involved in this situation that we are deforming or transforming or changing or whatever you want to call it, America from the country we once were, successful, independent, free, one language, one ethos, and actually a religion called Christianity that formed this country, into a polyglot civilization that will, as I said, be with scant opportunities, with poverty entrenched, with illiteracy, literally a mainstay for chaos. And that's what's coming. And even though you're sitting there pretty safe in your seat right now at your house in Idaho, I've seen the future, and I've seen it in Los Angeles and Chicago and L.A., certainly Miami, and certainly New York City, and so forth. And the thing is tragic is that we import 100,000 immigrants every 30 days from 150 countries around the world without pause. Again, capsweb.org, join it. Numbersusa.org, join it. FAIRUS.org, join it. Otherwise, you are singularly powerless. And if you join these organizations, you have the collective power. But if you don't, then you simply you sit by and watch the destiny of our country fall into this nightmare that I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Frosty, I'm out of time, flat out of time, and I've got to run, but I just want to say thank you, and I can't wait for next Monday to have more on this subject. Thank you so much, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Thank you again.
Godspeed, my friend.
God bless. Thank you so much. A dear friend and very knowledgeable, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Thank you on his bike tour down the left coast. Oh, my goodness, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Don't forget, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. They've got great ideas for redecorating your house for the holidays. Now, don't snicker at that, because the holidays really are not that far off. I mean, we're talking a matter of weeks and days, and we've got to get ready for Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred and all those folks. My goodness, you better get in there. And they've got a lot of new decor items coming in every day at Cheney Flooring and Home Design. You be sure and stop in and see them at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. The number to call is 678-6945. Look for the blue door, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. We're going to have our next guest with us on the phone in just a minute. Woo! I got a hot headset coming down the line this morning, and they've made some changes over there, and I'm going to have to talk to my good friend Jerry and see if we can't get that backed off just a little bit. Hey, don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology. Did you hear that? Well, she can help you hear that. Hearing loss is not a part of aging, and don't ignore hearing loss. It's not an age problem. So if you're having trouble with your hearing, please remember this. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology at 1218 9th Street, Unit 2 behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And the number to call for a hearing test, 312-0957. 312-0957. You set up an appointment with Dr. Christine Pickup today. Did you hear that? There you go. We're going to have Carrie Kupek on the line with us in just a moment. Stand by for that. But I also want to remind you about Let's Ride. My goodness sakes, that is where the fun is sold. They've got all the snow machines. What? Yep, they got all the snow machines. You better believe it. They've got all your snow machine needs. And check out the brand new snowmobiles that they have in stock. Brand spanking new for this winter's fun in the snow. And also don't forget, now's the time to get your watercraft winterized, and they've got all your four-wheelers and your ATVs and all your accessories, and they got an outstanding service department, second to none, I guarantee it. And like I said, with the accessories, they've got excellent Christmas shopping available over there at Let's Ride, where the fun is sold, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop over and see them today. Let's go to the phone lines right now, and we're going to visit with Carrie Kupek with the Alliance Defending Freedom. Good morning, Carrie. How are you?
Good morning, Deb. How are you?
It's so nice to have you on the program, and I know we'll be talking about various topics. I did not get all the information, unfortunately, regarding all the things we were going to talk about this morning, but one of the things and topics that I wanted to ask you about, what's been going on with that little baby in Maine, and have they changed everything as far as letting the baby live?
Yes, we have great news to report. The Supreme Court of Maine has dismissed the case. The baby is safe and in good hands, and the state is no longer going to be forcing the mom to end her own child's life. So this is a huge victory. We are so grateful for the life of this baby that has been saved. We are thankful to Governor LePage of Maine for taking that first step and saying that this was a disgrace, and then obviously the Department of Health and Human Services followed suit. Then the Attorney General followed suit. So this is great news.
How is the baby doing, by the way?
From what I understand, the baby's being well taken care of. I'm not sure as far as the health of the baby where that's at, but the good news is that the baby is alive and will get a chance to live like every other human being deserves that chance.
Carrie, one of the other stories that I do know about that we wanted to talk about this morning was Americans may not realize it, but all of us are paying for abortions through Obamacare. And explain that to us, would you please?
Sure. So last week there was a stunning report, or maybe not so stunning since we suspected this all along, but from the GAO, which is an independent agency of Congress. It's basically a watchdog group that independent, nonpartisan, keeps an eye on things, and they released a report that actually confirms that no matter where you live, your federal taxpayer dollars are subsidizing plans in other states that include abortion. And if you remember, in 2009, President Obama famously promised that no federal tax dollars would be used to fund abortions. Well, surprise, surprise, that's not true. And the way Obamacare was built was with a very purposely deceptive accounting scheme that, like I said, forces people in all 50 states to fund abortion. And in fact, of that money that's being funneled to these plans, there are 1,036 plans in the United States that currently cover abortion on demand.
How can we, the American public, how can we rise up and let our voices be heard that we are not in favor of this, we are not going to stand for this, we're not going to tolerate paying for something as hideous as abortions? I mean, are we absolutely locked in on this program and there's no hope to get out of it?
No. Each American needs to contact their elected representative and let them know that they do not want to be forced to pay for other people's abortions. In states like, there are 5 states actually, in New Jersey, Connecticut, Vermont, Rhode Island, and Hawaii. Those states, every plan covers abortion, so you don't even have a choice. So like I said, so everybody in America, some part of their taxpayer money is currently going to these plans in certain states that fund abortion. And then in certain states, almost there are no options for an abortion-free plan, or very, very few. So every American needs to contact their officials and speak up about this and say, no, we do not accept this. And quite frankly, it's a violation of federal law, because federal law prohibits the spending of taxpayer federal money on abortion on demand, and that's exactly what's happening. This administration knew that this was happening the entire time. They've arranged this kind of intricate accounting scheme in order to do so, and it's a big problem.
So basically, Carrie, in very simplistic terms, our tax dollars, a portion of our tax dollars, are being funneled right into the coffers of Planned Parenthood and helping with abortions. Is that a simplistic view of saying what really happens?
I mean, in some ways, yes. What's happening is that under Obamacare, our tax dollars are going to plans that cover abortion on demand. So we're helping pay for other people's abortions, not even through necessarily Planned Parenthood, just our government. Mm-hmm. And it's, when Obamacare was being written and, all the debates and things were going on, there was an option for a clause where people could have opted out completely at the very outset of abortion, and they could have added this onto Obamacare. It would have solved all of these issues. There wouldn't even have been this problem, but they refused to do so, knowing that they were going to basically, build it into the system and hope that nobody noticed. And it's outrageous.
Do you have any other stories that you would like to highlight this morning in the time that we have left this morning, Carrie?
I think that as far as this GAO report goes, I think that people really need to seriously consider, like I said, contacting their elected officials and put their foot down and say, we will not be part of your scheme to force us to pay for other people's abortions. That's the one takeaway I'd like to put out there today, because this is an outrage. No American should be forced to pay for such a procedure, especially when they're being lied to about it, especially when it's coming out of their hard-earned money.
So basically, when Nancy Pelosi stood up and said, we've got to pass the bill so we can find out what's in the bill, boy, we're finding out right now, and it's all coming out of our pockets.
We are, and what's interesting is that this is an independent agency, a congressional agency that's nonpartisan. They have really reviewed this thoroughly, and they're even saying, look, this is a big problem, and they said there's a huge lack of transparency. Even pro-abortion groups agree there's a lack of transparency. It's impossible. Even if you want to find out what's going on in your insurance plan under Obamacare, you can't find out when it comes to abortion. They make it deceptively tricky just because they are determined at all costs to force the American people to pay for abortion on demand. This administration is unbelievably pushing this and doing it in a deceptive way and making the American tax-paying people a part of their plan. And it's completely disturbing.
Absolutely. Carrie, how can they follow this story and other stories with Alliance Defending Freedom? Give us the websites and all the other information, please.
Sure. They can go to alliancedefendingfreedom.org, or they can go to adfmedia.org.
Well, I tell you what, the Legal Communications Director with Alliance Defending Freedom, Carrie Kupak, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to next week on the program. You always do a great job. Carrie, God bless.
Thanks, Doug, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Always look forward to having Alliance Defending Freedom on the program, and absolutely excellent stories about how they're jumping in and protecting the rights of Christians against a very insidious government right now. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and I'd like to hear from you. Gina, how you feeling this morning? Everything is better than what it was last weekend when you were down sick? Oh, we got a call. That's why she didn't answer her little message. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard about the Border Patrol having to wear cameras, not for their protection, but to make sure that the invaders of our country are being protected and not harassed in any way?
We talked about it last week on the program, Tony, and I think it's absolutely pathetic to basically shift the blame over to our Border Patrol agents. And here's what I think is going to happen. By wearing those cameras, they're going to be hesitant about doing something in case they get into a life-threatening situation because they're going to be afraid of what the cameras are going to show and tell. And I think that the cameras are maybe going to cause more harm than good to our Border Patrol agents and put them in a situation to where they won't act swiftly to protect their own lives.
Yeah, that's going to happen all throughout the country, the way situation's going.
I agree.
Anytime the police try to do anything, the blame goes on them, and our country's going to end up being under siege.
Absolutely. Tony, I appreciate your call. Thank you very much this morning.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll try that again. Gina, are you feeling better this morning?
I actually am feeling a little bit better this morning. Yes.
Would you have the flu bug?
I think Kennedy brought something home from school, and so it's just kind of made its way around the house.
Oh, it's so nice to have those kids share everything, isn't it?
Caring is sharing, right?
You know, I talked about the football games, and you carried quite a few football games at the station this weekend, did you not?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And how do you make a discernment as to who you're going to cover or what games, or is that basically you just follow one or two certain games?
Well, usually we each station covers their own teams, and usually if we have two teams that we would normally carry together, then once the home team gets the coverage, and then we just simulcast.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, so we do carry Burley and Minico, and then we carry Twin Falls Canyon Ridge and Jerome.
Holy smokes, you're carrying quite a few of them then.
Yes, we do.
Well, okay, I had another guest planned to call in at about quarter till the hour, but there isn't anybody calling in. They said they couldn't make it, so... pardon me?
Me and you, huh?
Yeah, well, whatever subject you want to talk about. I do know one thing that really scares me. I understand that, and by the way, if you mention that to Jerry, I'd appreciate it. We're really getting overmodulated over here.
Okay.
Did you know that people are quitting Homeland Security in record numbers? And they're stating that a very low state of morale is going on within Homeland Security, and there are more unemployments in that division of government right now than at any other time, and they're leaving in leaps and bounds, and that's a risk to you and me.
I would not be surprised. As a matter of fact, my ex-husband is quitting the Department of Probation and Parole, and he's moving over to UPS.
You're kidding.
No. You want to know why?
I would say low pay and lack of low morale in the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he found a better job, and the unfortunate thing is he's going to be moving to Alaska, which affects how often he gets to see our son. But he's jumping ship. Well, a lot of people are.
Explain this to me. Now, you said lack of following the ordinances that the government wants to run down. What basically did he do?
He was in charge of felony probationees.
I see.
Yes.
On illegals or almost anybody?
His specific was drug offenders.
I see.
So that's who he particularly covered over in the eastern portion of the state. So he covered the Idaho Falls, Pocatello, Shelley, that kind of Blackfoot area, and he just kind of got tired of, the government bureaucracy, and so he's jumping ship.
Why is it that it seems like government is trying to tear itself apart from within? In other words, they're making all these decrees, they're making all these idiotic statements like with the Border Patrol, when you go and arrest somebody, turn them loose inside this country and give them a notice that they have to come and appear before a judge in 3 months. They're not going to do that.
No. They're not, unless somebody like Department of Homeland Security, probation and parole, a police officer, or someone is notified that they have to go and catch this person. They're just going to go unchecked.
Yeah.
They will go unchecked until they commit another crime, and then they'll be brought into the court system.
I just don't understand the insanity of why our borders are not being enforced. Like I said first hour, here we have, pardon?
It scares me to death.
Well, it should. We have no idea who's coming across the border. There is no reason to have these porous borders. Name another country in the world today to where you can literally walk across the border and go stop at a Baskin-Robbins and nobody's going to say a word.
Not one. You can't even go into Canada without being checked.
There you go. I don't understand why our politicians are not outraged over this. Governor Jan Brewer, Rick Perry, and others have voiced that they want to put more people on the border, as well they should. But we, just in Texas the other day, 4 ISIS members were found just basically walking down the street. This is lunacy.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in the way that our administration is not being more proactive about protecting our borders. I mean, isn't that what they're supposed to be doing?
They're supposed to be protecting us.
Yeah, and they're not.
Not at all. We've got to do a weather forecast, and the weather this hour is brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Yes, through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They're open 7:30 to 5:30 Monday through Friday. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort at Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox. And here now is the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers with Zeb at the Ranch. You got some showers today. That's going to turn into isolated showers with a possible chance of a thunderstorm tonight. 75 for the high, 43 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. John, what do you got?
Thank you very much, Michael Rogers. Excuse me, MichaelRogersWeather.com. And we certainly thank Michael for his outstanding weather, brought to you this hour by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. And they are, of course, gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps. You'll enjoy the comfort through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All right, give us a call. Wow, that is hot coming down the headsets this morning. Woo, 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 woo. And give us a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And we'll talk to you about any circumstance you want to talk about this morning. So give us a jingle. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I also want to remind you about a harvest of savings at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. My goodness sakes, they've got window coverings 30 to 40% off. That's right. And they've got doorbuster low prices on power recliners. They've got the very best of mattresses. Oh, my goodness, you better stop in. And like they say, a harvest of savings going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And they say thank you for voting them #1 furniture store in the Mini-Cassia area. That's right. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. All right, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hello, caller. Good morning. Is there somebody there, Gina?
There's supposed to be, caller. That is you.
Caller, talk to me. Come on. I am not hearing anyone.
Ma'am, but anyway. Hey, this is George Montgomery.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'll just say what I got to say because I can't hear Zeb. But anyway, tell everybody thanks for coming out to my mother's 100th birthday, Esther Montgomery. So, real good party. So,
all right, now, George.
I'll get off the radio.
George, can you hear me at all? I don't know why he can't hear me. Why can't the callers all of a sudden hear me?
He's the only one that couldn't hear you.
Oh. But anyway, George Montgomery just called. And George, I wanted to say it was such a blessing to have your mom celebrate 100 years, a great birthday. And Esther, if you're listening this morning, many, many more. That is a wonderful lady and a wonderful family. And I was glad to put that on the air for them. So thank you very much. Give us a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like some more calls, so give me a jingle right now, and I'll tell you about Cameron and Siemens Insurance while I'm waiting. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more with Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens, dedicated and responsive to your needs. All you have to do is call and make an appointment. Stop in and make sure you're protected. The number to call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, serving you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Definitely.
Oh, good. Now we're even. Go ahead.
Good. Well, I have a confession to make, and you're probably going to give me a cowboy blessing.
Uh-oh, what's the matter?
I'm a bum. I retired, and I haven't been listening to you in the morning in like 6 months. And this morning I had an early morning appointment, and I drove into town, and I tuned in, and you guys just made me smile.
Well, good. I'm glad we did something right this morning. But you've got, now, wait a minute. What you better do is send me your phone number, and we'll have a wake-up service call you so you can enjoy it every morning.
That's right. I used to listen to you every morning on my way to work, sometimes even called in and that kind of stuff, and I just thought to myself, I have been a total bum. And when you said Michael Rogers Weather, I was like, oh my heck, I haven't listened to that forever. I got to start tuning in.
Well, Michael moved back from Anchorage, Alaska. He moved back down to Las Vegas, at least for the balance of the winter months, and then going back up to Alaska probably this next spring. But I certainly do appreciate your call, and
you
hope
all
that
three made me smile when I heard his name and heard you guys talking, so I guess I'm going to have to start getting up earlier even though I'm retired, huh?
Well, I'm retired supposedly by age, but I'm still working, so if I've got to get up, you've got to get up.
Well, you guys have a good day.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Nice lady right there, and give us a jingle. I've got calls coming in on my cell phone, but I can't take those. It's still really tinny and overmodulated, Gina. I just thought rather than me try to text you back, I just let you know that it's hot. Really, really hot. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Congratulations to Randy Hardy from Hardy Farms over in Oakley, and he is now going to be also a new commissioner with the Idaho Potato Council. He is the president currently, I believe, and he's now going to be also one of their commissioners, and what a nice person, and they've got a good man for the job. The Idaho Potato Commission has announced the recent appointment of 2 new commissioners who will serve 3-year terms, Randy Hardy in Oakley and Nick Blanksma from Hammett, and they'll be formally sworn in at the Idaho Potato Council October meeting, so congratulations to Randy Hardy over in Oakley. All right, can't turn them down anymore, sweetheart, because I've got to be able to hear people. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. And I'd like to remind you about a couple of public service things that are coming up. We mentioned last week that United States Pastor Saeed Abedini, still behind bars in Iran, 2 years after being jailed. And they're going to have a special vigil, and that's going to be coming up September 25th, this week, as a matter of fact, on Thursday at 6 p.m. outside the White House in Lafayette Park, praying for the release of Saeed Abedini. And I certainly hope that somebody in government, somebody in this administration, somebody can get something done to get that man released from that Iranian prison. And we'll be telling you more. I'm going to try to get his wife, Nagme, on the program sometime this week. And we'll see if we can't do it prior to Thursday. But again, that vigil coming up in Washington on this Thursday, September 25th. Also, real fast, as you know, Kelton Hatch was on the program last week, and he said the 6th annual Magic Valley Sportsman's Breakfast is going to be Friday, October 3rd at 6:30 in the morning. It's going to be over there at the Idaho Department of Fish and Game Regional Office at 324 South, 417 East, Highway 93 in Jerome. They're going to have pancakes and eggs and a discussion about the upcoming hunting season, which is now here, and the regional staff will provide updates and season forecasts for the Magic Valley. That is a big breakfast coming up on October 3rd. And last but not least, we had this note from Marion Wickham. God bless this lady. She's really a nice lady, and she's in charge of publicity from the Rupert United Methodist Church. The annual Harvest Bazaar and Luncheon will take place Friday, October 3rd from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 605 H Street treat. And they're going to have homemade chicken noodle soup, salads, French bread, cookies, beverages, all kinds of baked foods, crafts, special Christmas fair, and free will donations. So that's coming up on Friday, October the 3rd. Okay, calls. We got time for one more. And coming up next hour, we're going to have Daniel Simmons with the Institute for Energy Research talking about why, after 6 years, we have not done a thing with the Keystone Pipeline. He's going to be on at 10:06. And then at 10:30 this morning, I urge you not to miss this with Brian Fairchild. Absolutely a great interview. He is a former CIA operative, and he's going to be talking about where we're at with possibly supplying arms to Syria, where we're at with this mess in the Middle East, where we are at currently with ISIS, all of this and much more coming up with Brian Fairchild at 10:30 this morning, okay? Real quick, I want to remind you, too, about the Chadwick Sports Grill. Great eating all the time, anytime at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Today, they're going to have beef tostadas, and with the beef tostadas, they're going to have Mexican rice and super salad. That is the special today for the Chadwick Sports Grill. You be sure and stop down to the Chadwick. Great specials every day, super menu items, and great service at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. We're going to take a little break. Come back in about 6 minutes. Don't you go away. Here we go. Hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday morning, the September 2-2 on the calendar. Good morning, everybody. And we're going to have our guest with us in just a moment. But right now, let's take a look here first and foremost at Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric can offer, wow, that is hot, offer rebates on qualified Lennox Home Comfort Systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or heat pump. You and your family will enjoy the comfort. And don't forget to call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. Remember, at Ramsey's, they sell warm winters and cool summers and Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Let's go to the phone line right now and talk to a gentleman with the Institute for Energy Research back in Washington, D.C., Daniel Simmons. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm having problems getting a hold of him. The number I got sent me to the consulate services.
Consulate services. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm going through all of my notes to find another number for him.
I will see what else I can find quickly, and maybe we can get Deanne to come in here, and we'll see what we can find for the IER and call their main office number. I'm looking through the book here real quick.
You're looking and I'm looking.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can't find something. And how about let's try 202.
Okay, hold on. We're going live on this one.
All right, 621.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
And 2947.
2947.
Yeah, let's try that number that we had a couple of weeks ago with Chris Warren. We'll try that.
Okay.
All right, let's see if we get anybody live on here this morning.
Nothing like live radio.
I love it. I love it.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
Yes, we are.
Hello, this is Chris.
Hello, Chris Warren, Zeb Bell speaking, and we are supposed to be talking to Daniel Simmons, and the number that we were given by the office is the wrong number. Could you connect us to him, please?
Sure thing. One moment, please.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so live radio, we're being transferred. Hopefully we'll get the right one.
It was totally weird that when I called the number, it said the consulate services, and I'm like, consulate services? I think that was wrong. And I double-checked the number, and I dialed it 3 times, and I got the same message, and I'm like, I've got an issue, so here we go.
Okay, we'll see if he's going to pick up. Hopefully we'll get the right person on momentarily. Love live radio.
And the on-hold music is just wonderful.
With Tchaikovsky.
Yes.
And his fifth.
Is that what this is?
He had to drink a fifth to make music like that.
I fit the rum?
I don't know, but I'm embarrassed, but we can't help it.
Well, sometimes this happens, and so this is what makes live radio so interesting.
You would think that somebody would come back on the line and say he's not there.
Or maybe he's on the other line. Or
waiting for us.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this moment of musical trivia is being brought to you by, and we'll come up and say our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Randy's bringing us all this classical music.
Oh, which, by the way, go Seahawks.
Oh, wait a minute, we're ringing. That's a good sign.
Dan Simmons.
Dan, how in the world are you? Zeb Bell, we've been trying to get a hold of you.
All right.
Thank you very much for coming on the program. We're supposed to discuss the Keystone Pipeline this morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well.
Okay, good. Today is the Keystone XL Pipeline 6th anniversary, and we still don't have anything done. It doesn't look like we're going to get anything done with this administration. And bring us up to speed as to why this administration, and especially Obama, Tom Steyer, and the rest of these absolute nutcases are trying to stymie energy in this country.
Why? You know, on one hand, I just want to say who knows, but I'll give you what I think is the real reason. Everybody else, the rest of us, the rest of the people living out in the real world, we all realize that energy is key to our lives. It's key to the economy. It's the stuff we put in our cars that gets us around. It's the stuff that keeps our lights on at night. You know, energy is critical. But these guys have a vendetta. They have an agenda. They want the rest of America to use less energy because with the case of most energy sources, people release carbon dioxide. You know, the combustion of fuel releases carbon dioxide, and so they want less of it. You know, no matter what the consequences are, and that is the problem. So, in this case, for 6 years, there's been a simple question on President Obama's desk. And that question is it in the quote-unquote national interest? That's that's the only thing he needs to decide, whether or not we get oil from Canada instead of overseas. And for 6 years, he has been unable to figure that out. You know, the rest of us, it's in the polling, the polls all agree that Americans want the Keystone XL pipeline to be built. But President Obama just will not make that decision because he does not want to tick off his activist friends.
Okay, here's the bottom line, Daniel. We're a growing country. We have growing concerns. We have energy concerns. We have security concerns. We have mom and dad and aunts and uncles that need to make a living. They have to make enough money to try to send their kids to school. It takes energy. And right now, solar is a joke. Wind power is a joke. It's going to remain a joke because it's not a turn-on type energy that can be utilized by everybody, and the energy grid is not going to sustain itself on that kind of green energy. So what are we going to do?
You know, and it's tough. You know, we have to continue to fight. I mean, this sounds absolutely crazy that we have to continue to tell our representatives of Congress as well as our friends and neighbors that this crap cannot be that this stuff cannot stand, that we have to stand up to it, because the problem is that there hasn't been all that much there hasn't been enough coverage of the fact that this is the 6-year anniversary of the president twiddling his thumbs on the Keystone XL pipeline, because people become apathetic over time, and we can't let that happen, and it's sad. But the problem is we are engaged in a battle here. We are engaged in a battle with people who do not want the rest of us to have access to energy, that don't want us to have access to affordable, reliable energy. Solar, has a place, surely. I mean, everybody likes their solar calculators, for example, but we don't try to run the economy on solar power. That would be ridiculous. But these guys, and sadly they're the people making decisions in the White House, they are the people making decisions at EPA, that's how they want us to live our lives. And it is absolutely crazy. We've spent decades, we've spent centuries figuring out the sources of energy that can allow us to have, as you said, turn on energy on demand when we need it. as much as we need it. And these guys want to roll back the clock on that. And, you know, they're doing everything we can, and we can't afford to be apathetic.
Well, here's one thing that I'm really bitter about. Why does and how come he does have more power and more of a vote and better and bigger voice than I do, and that's Tom Steyer? Why should he be listened to more than me? He's only one man, I'm only one man, but yet I represent literally millions and millions of people that want more energy in this country at a price that's affordable. So why is Tom Steyer's voice more listened to than millions of Americans?
Well, it's more listened to because it has the it has the president's ear. It has the ear of his activists because he opens up his checkbook, and there was a story today where he just wrote another $15 million of checks to political candidates who want to promote this this agenda of using less energy, and it is something that the president is sympathetic to, and so that's that's the reason.
Okay, well, wait a minute.
The president can just sit, and twiddle his thumbs on this and on approving the Keystone XL pipeline because he's not. It isn't the government that's building it. A private company is going to build it. All they have to do is get the stupid permit from the federal government. But in this case, they don't want to say yes, and so the company is sitting on the sidelines with billions of dollars of economic activity. So, and Tom Steyer can just continue to push money to his candidates to keep on whispering in the president's ear to keep this thing on the sidelines.
Okay, but Daniel, you used the term twice already in this segment. Use less energy. They want us to use less energy. And my question to you is how? How do we go about using less energy? I can't drive any less and still be productive and still hold my business together. I can't go less than what I am now. How am I going to drive less? How am I going to use less energy?
Well, they don't care. And that's just the thing. They do not care how you're going to use less energy. They do not care that it's going to cost you economic opportunities. They don't care that it's going to cost many people their jobs. They do not care about you because they do not care about humans. They do not care about the rest of us who are trying to make it in this world. All they care about is some kind of notions of climate change or global warming. And honestly, I say that and it sounds a little bit crazy, but you know what? It's the only thing that fits the facts of what these guys keep promoting. That they look at the rest of America and they see just this great wash of knuckleheads walking around out there, and they don't think that we can make decisions for our lives when, we make a heck of a lot better decisions for our lives than they could ever make for our individual circumstances. And it really ticks me off. But you know what? It's the only thing that I can understand is actually being, what drives them.
I do not understand. This pipeline has been deemed safe by even environmental groups. They have said, man, it doesn't get any better than this XL Keystone pipeline. It's safe, it's secure, it absolutely is friendly to the environment, and still we're not having a president that has the brains that God gave a motorcycle tire to go ahead and sign for this Keystone pipeline. And we're being manipulated by people like Tom Steyer and other environmental groups to keep delaying this thing when this country needs the energy. I just don't understand.
Well, I don't understand either. I mean, it is it is a part of a concerted effort to deny energy to Americans. When we talk about in this case, getting energy, getting oil from our closest neighbors in Canada. Instead, their policies are ending up meaning that we are importing more oil from overseas, and that's just absolutely insane. The United States, our oil and natural gas production is growing, but it's only growing on private lands. It's not growing, and the only reason that's happening is because there is still private property and still there's, state regulators that regulate that stuff as opposed to the federal government. If President Obama had his way, if his regulators at the EPA had their way, our energy production would be declining because that would be the easiest way to keep us from this energy.
Absolutely.
But it is just the reality that, these people, I truly think, and you saw it sometimes at this climate march that just happened this weekend, where people are using, this stuff because it's what they want is a whole new economic system. And you know what? It actually makes sense. It makes a lot of sense when your goal is to change the economic system that you are denying Americans access to affordable, reliable energy.
We have a caller with a question on the air. Go ahead, caller, please. Thank you.
Yeah, where does this Tom Steyer live? Because I think we need to go turn his power off so we can save energy.
Well, that's a good point. And here's the crazy thing, because I looked it up. I did a whole bunch of research on this a few weeks ago. He actually owns 3 houses within 15 miles of downtown San Francisco, okay? He owns 2 houses in the city of San Francisco, about 1.5 miles from each other. Obviously those houses, because they're downtown San Francisco, they're worth more than $1 million. And then he owns another one about 10 miles up the California coast, north of San Francisco. And so you're just like, hey, what is it about this guy that he made a bunch of money, and he made some of it in by buying up coal companies actually in Indonesia.
That's right.
And Australia to provide the Indians with affordable, reliable energy. But now he wants to turn his back on that because he understands that you can make money on it, that it's affordable, that it's reliable, that it's good, but he wants to deny the rest of us the same economic opportunities as he used to get rich. So it is just absolutely hypocritical. It's someone that lives a completely extravagant lifestyle, telling the rest of us that we can't have the necessities of our lives, and that is what ticks me off. I am happy that there are billionaires in this world. I am happy that there are people that have gone out and invented stuff and created these great things for the rest of us to buy, and that a lot of us have. It just drives me absolutely insane when people like that have done well in this financial system then want to turn around and take advantage of the rest of us. That is absolutely and utterly wrong, and in my mind, it's completely immoral.
Absolutely. We have another caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, please.
Hi. I have a theory, and I'm going to tell it to you and see. You tell me where I might be right or wrong. I think the environmental agency is just being used by the government. Some government people seen where they could make money, so they're using them as a scapegoat. I think the reason they don't want to put that pipeline through is because Buffett is making too much money transporting it on his railroad down to the Gulf Coast. The other theory, they don't want to build another refinery in up next to Canada. The oil companies don't, because then they wouldn't have an excuse to raise the price every time a storm hit the Gulf Coast and wiped out some of those refineries or those wells. So this is my theory. Where could I be right or wrong?
All right, we'll have him answer that over the air. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your call. Go ahead, please, Daniel.
Oh, sure thing. I think that the fact that Warren Buffett owns BNSF, definitely contributes to this issue. And to explain what that means is that because the Keystone XL pipeline has not been built, a lot of the oil is currently being transported by train. Warren Buffett owns the largest train, the largest train line in that region. That is BNSF. Also, which the caller didn't mention, Warren Buffett also owns the Union Tank Car, and Union Tank Car Company is the largest producer of tank cars in the country. So he owns the railroad, as well as he owns the company that makes tank cars that is transporting all this oil all over the place. And I think that factors into it. I don't think it's the biggest issue, but I think it's one of the issues. And the way that you get something like this stopped for 6 years is you have a number of things lined up on the side of it being stopped. And in this case, the fact that Warren Buffett's involved is one of them. As for whether or not the oil companies want to build or do not want to build a refinery up in the up north to avoid some of the storm problems that you can have on the Gulf Coast. I don't know. The reality is that it is incredibly difficult to build a new refinery in the United States. In fact, a new refinery has not been built in more than 30 years because of the environmental regulations. So, regardless of what the oil companies want to do, they have to get by EPA and the regulating, and it is the regulations, and it is just incredibly difficult. So, that's the first step to overcome there, and so it's a real challenge. And the good news is that yes, the Gulf Coast is susceptible to to storms or hurricanes, but thank goodness we haven't had much of those these years, despite all the people running around saying that if we increase carbon dioxide levels, we're going to have a bunch more hurricanes. Well, where the heck are the hurricanes, people?
And here's the thing. I had Chris Warren on the program a couple of days ago representing Institute for Energy Research, and I really respect and appreciate all you folks. But Daniel, I do not understand something so basic, that if you have a progressive country that wants to have its citizens get back to work and wants to keep their jobs, and they want to buy enough gas maybe to go visit Aunt Martha and Uncle Fred, and they want to be productive members of their community and their society. Once you take that away, you have nothing but derelicts and deadbeats that aren't paying taxes, and the government folds their tent for a lack of money. I do not understand why any administration could be this dadgum dumb.
Yeah, well, and that's why you have to wonder if what they really want is a new economic system, honestly. There are people preaching that this weekend up in New York at the little climate, adventure. Because energy is the basis of everything. We get in our cars and we, just to go get some, just to run to the store, but also to get to our jobs, to all those economic activity, all the economic opportunities. There's some energy that's required for all of them, and the fact. When these people think, and what happens is they sit in their little offices and they think, well, I think that people can save 16% on their on their energy use in their homes, without seeing why in the real world people use energy the way they use and why they do it. Because no one likes to just spend more money than they need to on energy. That's absolutely stupid. But they think that they're stupid. They think that they're smarter than the rest of us, and they think that we should be moving to a different economic system. And it's absolutely it's crazy. But I don't understand what else they're trying to do.
Simply, and I've only got about a minute left, and simply put, I said first hour on the program that I think all of us should pick up a pitchfork and a baseball bat and storm Washington, D.C., and have a great big slobber knocker with any senator or congressman that doesn't want to abide by us. We've got to do something in this country. We've got to do something to let our voices be heard, or we're going to be completely, in a 7-letter word, they're going to have the control.
Exactly. That's true. We have to let our voices have to be heard. They have to be heard at the ballot box. They have to be heard by by our members of Congress, our senators, our state members, our state reps, our state senators. They have to hear us time and time again because they have to be afraid. They have to be afraid. The business as usual means that they're going to be voted out of the office, and they will pay attention, but they have to be told to pay attention. So that's the problem. We can never let up because, we are in the situation because of mistakes made by politicians in the past.
Absolutely. My friend Daniel Simmons with the Institute for Energy Research, thank you so much for being on the program this morning, and we'll look forward to having you back in the future. Thank you again.
Thanks, Ed. Have a good one.
God bless. Thank you. Real fast, on Thursdays, I want to remind you that we have a segment on our program called School Days in Cassia County. And two of our sponsors that have done so much to help promote that segment are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And boy, there's nothing sharper than a young man in a suit, and they've got 5-piece suits, sizes 2 to 20, for just $59.99. And they've got jacket and pants and vest vests and shirts and ties. Oh, my goodness sakes. That is a wonderful economic price to look really, really handsome. Check out all the clothing. Check out everything at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget, too, the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Drive in Burley. Oh, my goodness, life-saving colonoscopies performed by outstanding surgeons at the Ambulatory Surgery Center on Highland Avenue. And don't forget, if you're having numbness in hands or pain in your arms, it could be carpal tunnel. So be sure and have that checked out. And all can be taken care of at the Ambulatory Surgery Center. Number to call, 677-8888. 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center, Highland Drive, and A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, bringing you school days in Cassia County. We're going to take a break and be back in just a minute or so. Don't you go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Last half hour of the program, and I am blessed with the friendship of this next man that has been on the program many, many times, and I've got nothing but complete respect for his service to our country. Former CIA agent and writes, I think, the best and most interesting blog under the name of Blind Eagle, and this is Brian Fairchild. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing fine. How are you doing down there?
Well, I'm going to be really honest with you, Brian, and I hate to have such a somber tone to start our interview off this morning, but I am more worried. I guess the best word would be I'm more afraid every single day that goes by with this administration, their bungling, their absolutely amateuristic attitude on national security, and I really don't know where we stand as to what's happening with ISIS. I don't know where we stand with what's happening with Al-Qaeda. You know more than anybody I've talked to about how serious this situation is. Where are we right now?
Well, I'll tell you, Zeb, it just got worse. Just got worse last night. I just put out a statement, and in that statement, one of the things that they emphasize is to have their people here in the United States or to come to the United States and kill civilians.
Oh, my goodness.
And let me just read one paragraph of this statement to give you and your listeners an idea of how bloodthirsty they're thinking. They say, if you are not able to find an IED or a bullet, then single out the disbelieving American, Frenchman, or any of their allies. Smash his head with a rock, or slaughter him with a knife, or run over him with your car, or throw him down from a high place, or choke him, or poison him. So, and then it goes on to say, and if you're unable to do that, burn his home, or burn his car, or burn his business, destroy his crops. If you're unable to do that, then spit in his face. And it goes on and on from there, Zeb. So, you can see these guys are very serious, as we've been talking over the last couple of times that I've been on your show. They intend to hit us in the United States. They will hit us in the United States, and they're just ratcheting up the whole problem right now.
Brian, the question I've got, and you're the expert, and I'm just absolutely a neophyte that's sitting here trying to figure out what to do, how to protect my family, how to protect myself, etc. What would you tell Americans that don't have your kind of training? What would you tell the common everyday Joe and Mary about what they should do, what they shouldn't do, where they should go, where they shouldn't go? I mean, people should be really worried about this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, but it's also, it's also not going to happen simultaneously in every city, in all 50 states, so forth and so on. I mean, it's, you still pretty much have to go on with life as it is, but you can have better security awareness. And Zeb, professionals in the intelligence community, there are no secrets, there are no special capabilities that any of us have. I mean, you just try to practice good security awareness. Keep away if there's like for instance, if there is a radical mosque known in your neighborhood,
and there's something going on at that radical mosque and a lot of people around, well, just steer clear of that place. You know, watch what's going on when you're in the mall. I mean, you look and see if people are approaching you, and just keep good security awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about the best thing that I can recommend right now. See, the problem is that if you strategically understand these problems, and had the government taken actions many years ago to reduce this virulent ideology out there, then we wouldn't be facing these problems now. But because we haven't done that, these problems are ever increasing, and our danger is ever increasing.
I want to ask you something. The title of your blog that I have here in front of me is called The Muslim Dilemma, Allah's Commands to Wage Jihad. Now, let me ask you this. Last week, I watched Secretary of State John Kerry sit in front of that Senate hearing, and here's one part that I didn't understand, nor did I appreciate. When he compared, unwittingly, God and Allah as being the same thing, and that really left me cold, because I will say this as a Christian. My God would not act in the fashion that the Muslims and the jihad are waging war against citizenry. And I think John Kerry misstated and should have said Allah, but he used the terminology God. Am I nitpicking on this?
No, I don't think you're nitpicking, and I think it even goes beyond that. Both he and the President of the United States, as well as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, have all said that what ISIS is doing is not Islamic. And while it's true, and Zeb, I've lived in 3 different Muslim countries, and I've worked with Muslims for many years, I can tell you that out of the 1.6 billion Muslims, that the majority of them are not jihadis. But there are like 100 and some million of them that are. And I'm sitting here while I'm talking with you right now because I'm doing research on this new statement. I have the Quran sitting in my lap right now. And everything that Baghdadi has done in Iraq and in Syria, from beheadings to crucifixions to taking prisoners and ransoming prisoners, everything that he's done has, there is a command by Allah in this book, the Quran, sitting in my lap right as we speak, that commands him to do so. So to say that this is not Islamic is just completely wrong. Now, like I say, you can qualify. You can say, well, thank God, strategically, the majority of the 1.6 billion Muslims aren't these guys. But you want to keep it that way, and you want to have policies that encourage that. But by saying that these guys, are not Islamic, it leaves us nowhere to go, Zeb. And by that I mean this: if you're an FBI agent and you're supposed to be a counterterrorism guy stopping these guys, right now the administration says that it has nothing to do with Islam. So ex post facto, right there, you just forget about the Muslim community. And then the administration tells you, as an FBI agent, counterterrorism specialist, you are looking for violent extremists. Well, Zeb, where do you go to find violent extremists? There isn't a corner store or a corner violent extremist union to go to.
Right.
So how do you find a violent extremist? You can't. But if you admit to the fact that there's a religious aspect to the jihad, well, then you can legitimately look at the Muslim community. You can then try to find radical mosques within that community, radical imams within that community, radical foreign speakers within that community, organizations that spread the manifesto and spread the ideology within that community, and you have a place to go. But right now, the way the administration is set up and their ideology is that, well, this has nothing to do with Islam. You guys are looking for violent extremists, so go out and find them. And that leaves you no place to go, Zeb.
Okay, but Brian, again, you know so much about this, and I could sit here and ask questions until 3 this afternoon and not even dent the first page. Why isn't there more of a denouncement? Why isn't there more of a demanding from the bulk of the Muslim community across the United States, and for that matter, the world, like with the people like Dr. Zuhdi Jasser and others, to condemn and get rid of these jihadists?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, and there should be much more of much more outrage and much more of a bunch of voices risen against this. And Zuhdi Jasser is a great example, but Zuhdi Jasser also demonstrates one of the problems, and he's just one of the few who are out there doing that. Okay, so now the question is why? Well, Zuhdi Jasser is a great guy, and he's psyched up, and he wants to organize, and he wants to do this. He wants to create organizations and raise awareness and so forth and so on. The majority of Muslims, however, are just regular people. They're not out organizing. They're just going to their jobs. They're accountants or working at the supermarket or wherever. And there's no place for them to go. I mean, they can organize themselves. They can say, well, I'm going to take all of my savings and put it into a new organization and try to change the Muslim world. But the majority of people just aren't like that. I mean, whether Muslim or not. And there's no central authority in Islam, which really complicates the problem, Zeb. So, like if you were a Catholic, for instance, you could go to the local diocese and tell the priest something, and hopefully it would work its way up the wiring diagram all the way through the organization to the Vatican and the Pope. And then maybe the Pope could change doctrine and it would come back down and everybody would follow doctrine. But there is no central authority in Islam. And that's another problem because that allows for individuals to become radicalized and decide this local mosque is now going to be radical. And there's no central authority to appeal to. You can't go and complain to anybody about that mosque because there is nobody to complain to. That's one of the problems there.
Brian, I just heard over the weekend that they, being ISIS, they're making appeals to women worldwide to become members of their dominion, if you will, so that they can have babies and they can have somebody to cook for them. And I could not believe it, but women are trying to get there and join. What in the world could be the matter with women folk that they would want to be a part of something so hideous?
Well, you hit the nail on the head, and just using that example is a great example to explain, the problems that we're up against. Because, in fact, these folks, aside from what the President of the United States has to say, these folks are religious zealots. And they really believe that they have a mandate from God to do what they're doing. And what they're doing, I mean, their mandate isn't jihad, jihad, jihad. Their mandate is use jihad to spread Allah's religion throughout the world. So they really believe this. And if you really believe that, then this al-Baghdadi guy is a guy you want to hook up with, right? Because he's the guy that's making things happen. So that's why this al-Baghdadi guy is so dangerous. He has captured the imaginations of young radicalized Muslims around the world. There are probably more than 15,000 foreign fighters now in Syria and Iraq, and probably 4,000 to 5,000 of those hold Western passports. And that's what scares the death out of everybody in the intelligence community, because these people can come back and they can come into the United States without a visa. You can have Germans come into the United States without a visa, Norwegians, Swedish, Irish, British, and we won't even look twice at them. So if they shave their beard, put on a polo shirt, come through the airport, come to some community, get ammonium nitrate and make bombs, there's nothing really to stop them. And then the American counterterrorism forces are looking for violent extremists anyway, so they're not even looking for these radical religious zealots. But the whole thing with the young girls, running off to the jihad to be jihad brides is just scary as hell, and it shows this is going to be a multi-generational problem.
Let me ask you this, Brian, and I've got to break and do a weather forecast, so bear with me. Radio. But sure. On a scale of 1 to 10, and I may have asked you this in the past, so bear with me, but on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being somewhat concerned and 10 being scared right out of your Tony Lama boots, where are we right now on this dilemma with more people coming into this country and we don't really know their intent? What do you think?
I got to say we're up at least 8. Wow. Depending on who you are and what you're looking at, you could be somewhere between 8 and 10. But, they're just, Well, Deb, do you have any doubt whatsoever that you could read a report today that some police officer is kidnapped in Iowa somewhere and beheaded? I mean, is that a possibility, do you think?
I do.
If you think that is a possibility, that shows you the level of danger. You know, if you think that our counterterrorism forces can't actually stop something like that, you're absolutely right. And we're scared to death that that's what's going to happen.
We're talking to Brian Fairchild, a dear friend, former CIA operative, and absolutely a wonderful writer with the blog Blind Eagle, telling it like it is about the jihadist threat that we have here in this country and around the world. We'll be back with more with Brian in just a moment. Stand by, but right now it's time for the weather, brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, selling taste one bite at a time. Absolutely wonderful, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years, and you ought to try one of their marinated tri-tips for any occasion. Absolutely delicious. Please get a hold of them today, 324-7657, Scarrows Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers with Zip at the Ranch. You got some showers today. That's going to turn into isolated showers with a possible chance of a thunderstorm tonight. 75 for the high, 43 for the overnight low. Enjoy the weather. It's on the weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 324-7657, selling taste one bite at a time. We're on the air with Brian Fairchild. Brian, a question that I've had for a long, long time, and I haven't asked you this in the past, but I think it's a question that people want to know. What about the President of the United States of America? What about Barack Obama? What about his upbringing? What about his ties to the Middle East? What about his ties to Pakistan? What about his ties to the Muslim religion? What do you personally think his ties are to those people and that belief over and above this country and Christianity?
Well, I think he certainly sympathizes with sympathizes and apologizes for Islam. I mean, there can be no doubt about that. I can tell you that, he one of his first speeches as a new president was back in 2009. He went to Cairo, Egypt, and made a speech. And his speech basically was praising Islam and blaming the colonial powers for the current problems that are occurring and so forth and so on. I mean, it was historically inaccurate. He was just factually wrong, and he was, bending over backwards to make an opening to the Muslim world. And this was at the same time that he was saying he was going to change the whole relationship with Iran just by sitting down and talking with those Iranian leaders. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is around that, just after that, in 2010, the president ordered a presidential study directive to be done by his White House. And a presidential study directive, this presidential study directive, which was Presidential Study Directive number 11, studied the Muslim Brotherhood. And basically what these folks said is, oh, hey, the Muslim Brotherhood, they're cool guys. They're the guys that are going to, we'll bring them up because they're oppressed, and we'll, help them get installed in all these Middle Eastern governments, and we'll do away with all these old authoritative guys like Hosni Mubarak in Egypt, and we'll put those guys aside, and we'll have the Brotherhood come in, and boy, they'll change the face of the world, and everything will be hunky-dory. And that was like a secret policy, and he actually carried that out, and he supported the Muslim Brotherhood coming to power in Egypt and so forth and so on. So he's definitely been a guy who's exacerbated the problem. He's still today. On September 11th, you saw in his speech that he says, this has nothing to do with Islam. Mm-hmm. These bad guys have nothing to do with Islam. So he's still apologizing. And, your listeners, Zeb, and you and me and just regular people, we know viscerally that's just not right. That's incorrect. We just know that. You may not be a specialist in Islam or terrorism or anything, but when these guys constantly tell you, here is the command from Allah in the Quran that tells me to go behead this guy or whatever, we all sort of know, the president's not right. He's lying to us. And so therein lies the problem, and that's kind of what I feel about the man.
Let me ask you this. You remember when Michelle Bachmann from Minnesota questioned the hiring and placement of Muslim Brotherhood members in this administration, and then also with Hillary Clinton with the State Department, and she stood up and spoke out against it, and our state of Idaho Congressman Mike Simpson wrote a letter of condemnation against Michelle Bachmann. I had Congressman Simpson on this program, and I asked him why he would denounce Michelle Bachmann. I said I agreed with Michelle Bachmann, and he called me and others that agreed with her McCarthyists. How would you have responded to that?
Oh, well, that is just so ridiculous. But how I would have responded, and what these folks can never do is they can never back up their challenges or their accusations with any fact. The fact of the matter is, Deb, that there was a Muslim Brotherhood ideologue by the name of Sayyid Qutb. Sayyid Qutb is praised by the current head of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri. Ayman al-Zawahiri says, and said back in a book that he wrote in 2000, for crying out loud, he said, the man who created the spark of the Islamic revolution against the enemies of Islam in Egypt and around the world today is Sayyid Qutb. And that Sayyid Qutb had inspired him to create his first jihad cell. So, Zeb, if all these folks and that your congressman down there and all these folks just want to have a knee-jerk, liberal reaction, basically, to anything that's critical of anybody, well, let them have that, but they can't back it up because we can use facts and say, here it is, here's a statement by the Al-Qaeda leader, explain that away, my friend. Mm-hmm. And they can't explain it away because it can't be explained away. The Muslim Brotherhood and ISIS are on a continuum. They all practice the exact same ideology. They just use different tactics to get to their final goal. But they're obviously a major part of the problem. And the Muslim Brotherhood is the organization most responsible for initial radicalization of most of the Muslim radicals in the world today.
Brian, we're almost out of time. I've only got a minute and a half left, and I want you to answer this question. I've already stated it once, and I'll ask you one more time before this program ends. But, there's a lot of us that are very concerned about protecting our families, whether it's at a football game, a stock car race, a county fair, it doesn't make any difference. Is there any kind of a rule of thumb about awareness that you would give my listeners once again that in this day and age they should adhere to protect themselves and their family?
Well, Deb, other than just trying to practice good security awareness, being aware of your immediate surroundings, seeing if there's anything unusual. Lots of times we're very polite people. We Americans are very polite people, and we don't want to get involved, and we don't want to cause other people problems, especially with the police, and we're willing to give people the benefit of the doubt. Well, with these new threats, and with just the general rising threats and the threat streams coming from several different jihad groups, you can't operate as normal anymore. So if anything raises the hair on the back of your neck, if something just doesn't seem right, if you have just a feeling in the pit of your stomach, then don't just ignore it. Don't try to be the nice guy. I'll give the guy a second doubt, the benefit of the second doubt. Go to the phone and call the police and say, hey, I think there's something wrong here. Because that's going to save more people's lives than just turning the other way and going into the stadium and saying, it's probably nothing, honey. Probably nothing, honey, might turn into a major bombing or some kind of a sodium cyanide gas device being used. So you can't afford to do that anymore. You really have to look out for yourself. And if people tend to viscerally know what's right and wrong, and if you get those visceral feelings, something just isn't right, report it.
Brian, real quick, you just recently were on Cavuto, and I understand also taped a segment on Glenn Beck. Tell us, are those already aired, or can we be watching for those?
Cavuto's already aired on the Glenn Beck thing. It's going to be airing at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Blaze. Which I think, if you have cable TV and you get the package with the Blaze and you're good to go, If not, I think you actually have to go to Blaze and sign up for Blaze TV.
Okay.
But that's coming up at 8 p.m. on the 24th, on Wednesday.
All right, well, listen, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for all your information. Thank you for all you do, and I can't wait to have you back again in the future. Brian Fairchild, absolutely very knowledgeable about what's going on with ISIS and jihadism in this country today and around the world. Brian, take care, God's blessings, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you, Zeb. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
sir. Thank you. Wow. I mean, what more can you say is, wow, that man knows what he's talking about, former CIA operative, understands the problem, understands the dilemma we're in. Whew, it just makes you worry and it makes you wonder. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and serving is the key word right now. A great big tire sale going on with the best in tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, whatever. They've got great buys on the Eclipse tire, the Ultra Z900, the Open Country AT2, you name it. They're having all their tires with all the different tread designs on sale now. You check it out. Big tire sale along with the very best in brake service, the very best in front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, and of course they take care of you, like I said, with the best of service. Stop in. See Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run already. It's the end of the time right here on Zeb at the Ranch, and we're going to have another great program tomorrow, more exciting guests, and tune in at 8:06. We'll start the ride for about 3 hours right here on KBAR 1230 and streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. The way things were are the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning.